Welcome to the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom podcast with Jacob Ayers, providing actionable content to help you along your journey to financial freedom through real estate investing. As the premier asset class, real estate has helped ordinary people just like you amass fortunes. The benefits of passive income from real estate investing will allow you to live a life you want. And now, your host, entrepreneur, real estate investor, and apartment deal syndicator, Jacob Ayers.
Hi, and welcome to the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom podcast. You're listening to episode 177. This is Friday Fundamentals, and I am your host, Jacob Ayers. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. As always, I'm so glad you're here. It's Friday, end of the week. Big thanks for the weekend. I hope you have big and great plans as well. Well, hey, I want to take a minute and give a shout out to a couple 5-star reviews on iTunes. Our first 5-star review comes from Bridget, and it says, helpful and engaging. Fantastic content. Great questions and insight on how to take life and business to the next level. Another 5-star review comes from Janika, and this says, Jacob, your podcast is amazing. It has added so much value to my journey of learning real estate and to take the plunge. Started listening to previous episodes before my first property, purchased my first deal, and when I've hit bumps in the road, I've searched through previous episodes and have gotten so much value needed. Learned what kind of questions I should be asking and how to notice red flags. Extremely helpful. Bridget and Janika, thank you so much for leaving great reviews. I'm so glad you're getting actionable advice from this podcast. Congrats on taking action and making things happen. Your future is bright. Keep after it. And feel free to reach out to me for any other questions or comments you have along the way. I love speaking with you guys. Well, hey, if you haven't yet, please go over and leave a rating and review on whichever platform you're listening on. I'd love to give you a shout out in the upcoming episodes. Well, let's jump into this week's Friday Fundamental. This week's Friday Fundamental is syndication. The life cycle of a real estate investor looks something like this. Save up your money, buy an investment property, and repeat. Now, building a real estate portfolio on your own is certainly possible. You can save your money, put that money towards investment properties, and repeat the process as quickly as you are able to. Now, what many real estate investors quickly realize is they have limited resources, whether that's time, money, experience, or deals, or maybe all of the above. Having limited resources slows your growth. It takes you longer to find that next deal, or save up the capital to invest in that next deal, or find the time in your busy schedule to look for the deals to invest in. No matter how much money, time, experience, or deal flow you might have, you'll eventually hit a ceiling if you are active enough. You'll eventually run out of your own capital if you are doing lots of deals. You'll eventually run out of time. You'll eventually run out of deals, and inevitably, you'll come across something you don't quite have the experience with. This is just the nature of real estate investing. So here you are as an active real estate investor, and you've hit this wall. What are you to do? Well, you could slow down and wait until you personally have the resources to grow, or you could look to pool together those resources you need. This is called syndication. Syndication is really just a fancy term for pulling together resources. It's actually quite common, but you may not realize it in this context. When you buy a ticket on an airline to go on vacation or a work trip or to see family or whatever it is, you are participating in syndication. You and 100 other passengers are pooling together money in the form of airfares to travel to the same destination. Without this syndication, you would have to save up capital to afford the entire cost of traveling alone. Syndication works the same way with real estate investing. You can syndicate not only capital, but experience, time, deals, and almost anything else that will provide value to the goal or project. Syndicating capital, experience, deals, time, or any other resource allows you to grow and scale by removing those bottlenecks of those resources. You can tap into an almost unlimited supply of resources. Now, the role of a syndicator is to organize and pull together resources. Real estate syndicators will pull together capital for a deal, manage the project, communicate with the group, and just be the general sponsor of the deal. In exchange for being the sponsor, they will receive a piece of the equity typically. When you syndicate resources for a project, you aren't doing so only for your own benefit. You are providing value for others. The investors in a syndication have the opportunity to be involved in a deal they otherwise wouldn't likely have. For example, you as a real estate investor have found a great opportunity in a value-add 50-unit apartment community. But you have limited capital and can't take on the project alone. This is where syndication can be a beneficial strategy. You could raise the capital required for the down payment from investors. In return, the investors will be given an equity stake in the property. If you, as the sponsor, never syndicated this deal, then likely no one would have had the opportunity to invest in this 50-unit apartment community alone. This group benefit is just one of the many advantages of real estate syndication. As a syndicator, you are being a steward of other people's money, and this is a huge responsibility, not one to be taken lightly. You must be diligent in preserving investors' capital while making sound judgments on how to best maximize returns and mitigate risks. This is a tall order. When you are handling other people's money, there are also laws that you must follow. The Securities and Exchange Commission is a governing body that regulates these partnerships and transactions. It's vitally important that you consult with an SEC experienced attorney before syndicating any deals, which I am certainly not. Now, some great resources I found around the topics of raising capital, syndicating deals, and following the rules and regulations include 1. The Best Ever Apartment Syndication book by Joe Fairless and Theo Hicks. This is a great and all-encompassing resource that I've found very valuable and almost studied it as a textbook over the past 6 or 8 months. Highly recommend this one. And then there's Raising Private Capital by Matt Faircloth. Matt has been on the podcast twice now where we've talked about this topic in great detail, so if you're interested, go back and listen to those episodes. I'll link them in the show notes. And then 3, The Art of Raising Capital by Darren Weeks, another Rich Dad advisor. He's also been on the podcast to discuss this topic. And then lastly, number 4, It's a Whole New World by Gene Trowbridge. These are 4 books that I highly recommend if you're interested in learning more on the topics of syndication and raising private capital. I'll link all of those books in the show notes if you're interested in picking any of those up. Syndication can be a great strategy for growing and scaling your real estate empire. Done right, it can yield great results and ones that you might not be able to achieve without the benefit of working with a group of people. There's no right or wrong way by either investing alone or investing with other people. Find whichever is right for you and fits your goals, and that's the right one. Remember, real estate investing isn't a way to get rich quick. Real estate investing is a way to build wealth and achieve financial freedom over the long term. Scale and grow your portfolio at your own pace, as fast as you want or as slow as you want. Eventually, you will have built a real estate empire and achieved financial milestones you only once dreamed of. Well, hey, that wraps up this week's episode of Friday Fundamentals. I hope you're getting value from this show. If you like what you've heard, please go over, leave a rating and review on whichever platform you're listening on. As always, for more information, resources, and to connect with me, you can do so at www.jacobayers.com. I've been working on some exciting projects myself, so if you're interested in learning more, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to talk with you. Till next week, engineer the lifestyle you want.
You've been listening to the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom podcast, providing you actionable content to build your real estate empire. Nothing on this show should be considered specific, personal, or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, financial, or business professional for personal advice. The opinions of guests are their own. Information is not guaranteed. All investment strategies have a potential for profit or loss. The host is operating on behalf of the Real Estate Way to Wealth and Freedom, LLC, exclusively.